Isn't that the truth right there? Oh yeah, by the way, welcome to this channel, this tactical intellectual channel. And speaking of lies and truth, well, we're going to start off with some lies right now. We're going to start off with some outright lies, some wishy-washy on the fence. We don't know, we're unsure, and then we're going to proceed to the truth of the matter right here regarding melanated or brunette complected Vikings or piratical people. Okay, so we have a multi-series topic on the Black Danes and Vikings. In this presentation, it's going to be part 1, and we're going to highlight or focus on the Black Danes and the Danes in general. And then part 2, we're going to go over all other Vikings or sea rovers, because they really weren't called Vikings. They didn't call themselves that. So I have a Historum.com screenshot, 2 of them. And right here you can see question about the meaning of the name, the Black Danes. So I'm going to go right into it right here. And you see, I guess the profile pic right there. His name, Bloody Pirate. Okay, so he asked, why were the Danish Vikings given this name? I've always heard the Danish Vikings were more ruthless than the Norwegians and the Swedes. Why were they nicknamed the Black Danes? Were the Danish Vikings the most ruthless? So now we go into the guy responding to the initial question here. Okay, first check out his name. Rai Fionn Gale. Okay, he knows a little bit because a little bit based off the name. Fionn means white, Dub means black or swarthy, and the image right there in his profile pic right there, it shows a white guy, white Viking. But let's check out his response right here. He says, there's a few competing theories here. One has to do with the cloth their sails were made from, the Danish cloth being of darker hue than its Norwegian equivalent. Another, slightly lazier, here we go, but no less plausible theory says it's to do with their complexion or hair color. The Norwegians were known to the Irish as Fionn Gael, white strangers, and the Danes were Dub Gael, dark strangers. It may also harken back to Gaelic mythology and the Furbolg, a race of dark strangers said to come from the eastern seas that were conflated with the Danes in medieval Irish popular culture. Personally, here you go. Personally, if I was going to go with any theory on that list, I'd pick the first one. It just fits with how the Gaels name stuff and what we know of Norwegian and Danish ships from contemporary descriptions. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely going to address this. I have a lot to unpack, and I disagree with a lot of what he said, but he's just giving his opinion. It's uninformed, but it's his opinion. Hey, but hold on, let me go ahead and address this right here. Okay, so he said he's gonna go with the first one, which is the cloth their sails were made from. Okay, the Danish cloth being of a darker hue. So that's, man, come on, man. But he thinks it's lazy to go with the second option right there. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna address it though. Bear with me. And then this third one, Michael Mills. He says, could the appellations or name white and black be geographic, indicating where the strangers came from, rather like the names Black Russia and White Russia, which indicates west and east? It makes no sense right there. It makes no sense. So, all right, let's go on to the next right there. So, let's examine the next page right here. This is from VikingsFandom.com, and these guys, they have some historical fiction right here, and they're being for real. They're being serious, man. They're not joking at all on here. As you can see from the imagery right here, all on this page, to the left, top left, you got this guy right here, and then you see the far right, under popular pages, you have Ragnar, Lagertha, whatever her name is, right there, and this is the imagery. And then of course, close to the center, well, not really the center, but just to your left of popular pages, you have the Black Danes, and you see who's depicted right there. Now, all right, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the page and read it and see what they're talking about. Okay, it says the Black Danes were a Danish confederation led by 3 Viking kings from Denmark. Okay, and Vikings, okay. Yeah, that's not important. All right, let's look down in history. That's what history and trivia right there. All right. In history, it says the term Black Danes is derived from the Irish term Dubgal, dark black foreigners, in parentheses, which the Irish people used to refer to certain groups of Vikings. Various theories exist about the meaning of the phrase, from their hair color, the color of the shields, or the color of their sails. Okay. Today, the most popular theory is that the term means the new foreigners. Later Norman settlers were also referred to as Dubgal, Dubgal. Okay, so let's look at the trivia. None of this stuff right here made any sense, man, that I just read, but that's part of the course, man. We'll address it later on. Okay, in the trivia, it says all mention of the term Black Dane was deleted from the final episodes and was only used by the cast members in supplementary interviews. Okay, so a lot of this is just distortion right here, man, because I have the file name of this screenshot as Black Danes Distortion #1, because this stuff is like laughable, man, straight fictional, man. Everywhere from the imagery to the so-called quote unquote information. I mean, this stuff is just, it's to throw you off your square, your search. So let's go on to the next piece of deception. So now we're going to skim over this Wikipedia article right here. The subject is definitely Dubgal or Gael and Finn Gael. Now, okay, as you can see right here, it's translated Dub, and Fingal is translated as dark and fair foreigners, or black and white foreigners right there. Dub and in the second sentence right there. Dub and Finganti is dark/black and fair/white heathens right there. Okay, that should be it, but it's never that easy right there. So let's go ahead and, there's etymology right there, but I'm gonna skip that part. One thing I want to go over is the interpretation history right there. Now, just check this out right here. It says, of course, historians, they have offered various explanations to account for the fact that the terms associated with color denote two separate factions of Vikings. Okay, so they're coming up with explanations other than the obvious. So a lot of them, they think it either relates to hair color or the color of the armor. So it says that the view that it relates to color was held, for instance, by the Danish antiquary Jens Jacob Asmussen and James Henthorntide. But hey, that can't be correct. So what else? Okay, now this guy Smith right here. Okay, the most bizarre explanation of the terms was put forward by Jan D. Race. Golly, man. I'm looking at this, okay? This guy suggested that the black foreigners were Moorish slaves carried off to Ireland in a Viking raid on North Africa. Yeah, the slave narrative. Yep. So then, just look at it, man. This guy right here, John Stephenson, he rejected the fair, dark-haired hypothesis and came up with the terms originating from the color of the shields. Yeah, okay. And then Alfred Smith, he gives arguments against all the color related distinctions right there. So okay, I mean, this is pretty reasonable, because look at what he's saying. Referring to Stephenson, he dismisses the assumption that any large Scandinavian host or army could be composed exclusively and over a long period of dark-haired individuals. Yeah, that is unrealistic. Unless you're... it's too obvious. Well, let me go ahead and move forward. As an argument against... Okay, Stephenson, he asserts that regular uniform and equipment were unknown in early medieval Germanic armies, and that Norwegian pirates could afford luxury of carrying nothing but but white shields is fanciful to the extreme. Okay, as a final argument against distinction in color between Viking factions, Smith notes that even though these Vikings were active elsewhere, no Anglo-Saxon or Frankish chroniclers have mentioned any particular color distinction. Now, when it comes to color distinction, I disagree with the garb. I disagree with the color of garb. There wasn't... I mean, these guys make it sound like the only thing pertaining to color was the uniform color. It's something more obvious than the uniform color, man, that's being referred to here. Okay, now check this out right here. Norwegians and Danes. Okay, it's a lot of... I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's a point that is a big point that I agree with right here. All right, second paragraph. It says, Smith argued that Finn and Dub did not imply an ethnic distinction, but whether old and new. No, I disagree with that. And also pointing out that large Viking armies were not exclusively either Danish or Norwegian. He still did not question the identification as Norwegian/Danish. Downham or Downham has pointed out that by the time the first sources equating these terms with Norwegian/Danish were written down, changes in Scandinavia had made the Irish aware of a distinction between Norwegian and Danes. A distinction the Irish, or for that matter, Norwegians or Danes, would not have been aware of. Would not have been aware of in the middle of the 9th century. Now, this is what I agree with here. Downham argues that a new interpretation was interposed or insinuated on the earlier terms fair forerunner and dark forerunner. Okay, I'm gonna leave a link to this Wikipedia article right here because it's too lengthy. But let's move on to the next point. So now let's move on to the part of the presentation where we tell the truth. We've already had some lies, egregious lies. We had some indecision in the Wikipedia article. And now let's go into Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race by Thomas William Shore and Louis Earl Shore. Oh yeah, here's the front cover and the inside cover. So we're going to draw from chapter 7, which is page 103, entitled Our Darker Forefathers. Page 106 reads, from Huntingdon's statement concerning Vandals as Danish allies and these considerations, there appears to be evidence to account for the greater percentage of brunettes or the greater tendency to the brunette type. What could that mean? Brunettes? Brunette type. What is that? Huh? Well, just keep reading. Here we go. We're going to go over to page 113. Pages 113 and 114. We're going to start at the middle of the page, the highlighted portion. It reads, the invasion of the coast of the British Isles by Vikings of a dark or black complexion rests on historical evidence which is too circumstantial to admit of doubt. In the Irish annals of the Black Vikings are called Dub Genti or Black Gentiles. Drop down. The Black Vikings appear at this time to have had a settlement in or close to Dublin, and during the 9th century were much in evidence on the Irish coasts. There is still another way in which men of black hair, going into page 114, reads, or complexions may have come into England as thralls among the Norse invaders. In his translation of Orosius, King Alfred inserts the account which there the Norse mariner gave him of the tribute in skins, eiderdown, whalebone, and ropes made from whale and seal skins, which the northern Finns now call laps, paid to the Northmen. Their descendants are among the darkest people of Europe, and as they were thralls, some of them may have accompanied their lords. The Danes and Norse, having the general race characteristics of tall, fair men, must have been sharply distinguished in appearance from Vikings, such as those of Jomborg, for many of these were probably of a dark complexion. There is an interesting record of the descent of dark sea rovers on the coast of North Wales in the Annals Cambriae under the year 987, which tells us that Guthric, son of Harold, with black men, devastated Anglesey and captured 2,000 men. Another entry in the same record tells us that Meredith redeemed the captives from the black men. This account in the Welsh Annals receives some confirmation in the sagas of the Norse kings, one of which tells us that Olav Tryggvason was for 3 years, 982 to 985, king in Vinland, i.e. Wendland or Vinland, where he resided with his queen, to whom he was much attached. But on her death, whose loss he greatly felt, he had no more pleasure in Vinland. He therefore provided himself with ships and went on a Viking expedition, first plundering Friesland and the coast all the way to Flanders. Thence he sailed to Northumberland, plundered his coast and those of Scotland, Man, Cumberland, and Bretland, i.e. Wales, during the years 985 to 988, calling himself a Russian under the name of Ode or Ode. From these two separate accounts, there can be but little doubt, notwithstanding the differences in the names of the descent on the coast of, going into page 115, and it reads, North Wales, at this time of dark sea rovers under a Scandinavian leader, and it is difficult to see who they were if not dark complexioned winds or other allies of the Norsemen. Okay, now that's an interesting and very, very self-explanatory I guess couple of pages I read right there, and this will definitely overlap with another, I guess, video that I would do, and it's a little foreshadowing because I will read these same accounts or pages from this same book right here in other presentations. So I mean, it's talking about dark complexion. It's talking about a Viking king who I guess had like a different alias, and he was really a Dane. Let's see, who was it? I mean, these are all in different annals. Okay, so it tells you about this man. He had, his group of men who were all, dark complexion people right there. So yeah, let's go ahead and move forward. Page 116, the highlighted portion reads, Domesday Book tells us of Huscarls in Buckinghamshire and of people who bore such names as Suarting, Suert, Suen, Suert, and Suyard among its landholders, and it is difficult to avoid the conclusion that such names refer to people of dark complexions. Among the Lamans of Lincoln, a very Danish town, there were also apparently some so-called Danes of a dark complexion, for Domesday Book mentions Suartin, son of Gribold, Suardin, son of Hardenut, and Suartin, Sortsbrand, son of Ulf. Okay, that's very self-explanatory right there. You got dark complexions, then you got names that tie that, that links. I mean, those names have meanings right there. Those surnames and forenames right there. So now I'm going to do a different type of conclusion here, using the place of the Welsh in the history of Britain, and also the races of Europe, a sociological study by William Z. Ripley right there. And I'm just gonna read portions of their sources right there, and that's gonna be my conclusion for this presentation here. So now on page 9 of the Place of the Welsh book here, we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna read this part right here. It says, on the continent, we find the same race still in Brittany and in various districts in the valley of the Loire, as is clearly proved by Dr. Broca's maps, until at last we come to the Basque of the Pyrenees and the small dark population of Spain. There is no longer any room for doubt that the small dark Welshman is a fragment of people formerly widely extended over Europe, but now broken up into ethnological islands by subsequent invasions. Now that's definitely timeline wise is I'm kind of going ahead of myself, because in this video right here I'm establishing when those populations of people were the standard, not yet broken up by invasions of any kind. But let's go to the next source right here, the Races of Europe book right here. We're on page 463, and it says right here, then began the discoveries of abundant prehistoric remains all over Europe, particularly in France. These, with one accord, tended to show that the European aborigines of the Stone Age were not mongoloid like the Lapps after all, but the exact opposite. In every detail, they resembled rather the dolichocephalic Negroes of Africa. Okay, so that's where I get that African type right there. I mean, phenotypically, and I mean, they're descendants of people that, you know, were in Africa that migrated out, but they're far removed. So, you know, African type, you know, just the outside right there. And then we're going to go on to page 466 right there. And it says, we are strengthened in this assumption that the earliest Europeans were not only long-headed, but also dark-complexioned. By various points in our inquiry thus far. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Hey, it's kind of funny, like when you Google search this book right here by William Z. Ripley, The Races of Europe, you notice something very peculiar. On the outside, it says that a lot of white nationalists and Aryan Brotherhood folks and Nordicist people, you know, that champion being Nordics, you know, as we know them of today, they love this book. But, you know, I don't know why, because this book is, I mean, it has a lot of pages that tell you, I mean, chapters that tell you that, hey man, the original Europeans were, you know, this dark race right here, dark complexion, you know, they're like Negroes in Africa and all that. So I don't really think these are white supremacist people read the entire book, man, because I mean, how can you be racist after reading this book? I guess the pseudoscience that's linking skull size with intelligence, I think that's the only part they champion out of this book, because I mean, it's telling you that a lot of mixtures, intermarriages took place between, I guess, the originals. You know, it's telling you that, hey man, these Aryans, they were what can I call them? They weren't the originals, but they were like intrusive. You know, Europe was all dark and everything. It was a dark continent like Africa. You know, so hey, we just gonna use it against them, man, because it has some really good information in it. And I'm definitely using this book multiple times in other presentations right there. But hey, I'm not doing a deep, thorough breakdown of all of this because I'm using it so many times, so you can pair it all together. And I'll probably make, you know, in one presentation or video, I'll probably make a comment on it here, and then another comment on it there, and then in this video, I'll make a little comment on it here, and just piece it all together, and you know, you get the full picture. But anyway, that's it for this part right here. Part 2 coming out a little later. But thanks for enjoying this presentation. Hope you guys learn from it. Teach your fam, you know, learn from it yourself, and build off, you know, this video. Whatever I missed, hey, you guys are smart people, intelligent people. You guys can build off of it, and you know, come off the sidelines and get in the game. All right, later.